What's up, guys? Welcome to the Success Spotlight. And today we have a very special guest. His name is Gil Antolin. He's actually the founder of Luxury World Traveler, which is a luxury based concierge. And also, they have 3 million followers on Instagram. And he's traveled around the world, around some of the most luxurious travel villas and resorts, taking amazing pictures and videos for them. And now he's actually helping people book amazing stays and vacation spots all around the world in the Maldives and Greece, all across the world with some of the most luxurious villas and resorts that we know of. And so you can check him out on Instagram at Luxury World Traveler. And so I'd like to welcome Gil onto today's Success Spotlight.
How's it
Hi,
going,
Gil.
Ray?
Welcome to the show. And I just introduced you. You have 3 million followers on Instagram. You travel to some of the world's most luxurious places and just want to kind of, if you could give a background to people who you are, what you do, so people can learn about you.
Sure. So as you stated, I have a company called Luxury World Traveler. Started off as an Instagram page, and it's kind of grown into a multitude of different businesses. We have a couple different divisions. One, we own and operate a luxury travel concierge. We book people all around the world at Instagram. Secondarily, I do a lot of consulting for hotels, resorts, and people in the hospitality industry. And then lastly, we do a lot of video production and media production for these same clients. So we have teams that travel all over the place, shoot photos and videos, and we use them then on social media to drive traffic for our brand partners and for ourselves.
Nice. And during the quarantine, no one's able to travel. So, what's your business been like during these times? Like, how have you been able to pivot during these times?
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, most of our travel business canceled, and a lot of the big marketing campaigns that we had with our big brand clients were paused. So I've been doing a lot more consulting, coaching, mentoring. I have two digital media courses that are online that we released. One that's called Shoot, Publish, Edit, which is just a course that teaches people how to take really good travel photography for Instagram and edit it on their phone without having to use expensive camera and or editing equipment. And then secondarily, we have another one. It's called Create, Build, Monetize, which is shows people how to build a travel following on Instagram, and then monetize that following through a number of different ways. So that side of the business has really picked up during quarantine, just because there's a lot of people sitting at home, and I know they're bored and they're not being able to work, and a lot of people want to get into the travel market. So it's been really good for us to get into that side of the business, which has really exploded since the other two are down. So it's been a little bit of a transition, but now it's going pretty good.
Hmm. What's your favorite part about working with with your business? What's your favorite part of you traveling?
The traveling.
Yeah.
I've been able to travel to over 250 of the top hotels, resorts, and villas in the world over the last 7 years. So that's been a lot of fun. Just being able to see new places, meet new people, experience new things. Stay at places I could never afford, and being able to document that through photography and videography is like really what's become my passion.
What's like one of the places that was one of the most expensive places that you'll never forget having gone?
Probably the Maldives. I visited a place called Vela Private Islands. It's one of the most expensive hotel resorts in the Maldives. The Maldives are made up of hundreds of different islands, and there's about 200 resorts on those islands at this time, and maybe over 200 now. They're building really quickly. And I was able to go to the Maldives. My first time was in 2016, and got to stay at one of these places. And on this island, there was a three hole golf course. There was a tennis pavilion. I got to do the sea bobs, the thing that like goes 40 miles an hour under the water. And yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. And got to stay in
Dang.
some villas and overwater bungalows that were pretty expensive. So that was probably
How,
one of my favorite trips.
how much does it cost for like a night there, or for one of
Depending
these?
on the accommodations, upwards of like $6,000-7,000 a night, I think, or maybe even more, depending on the season.
Wow. Okay. And that's just to stay there for one night, not including all the food
Yeah,
and other stuff, right?
exactly. Yeah, dinner, food, transportation. That's all separate. The Maldives, though, are one of
Wow.
the most expensive places in the world to travel to, and the reason for that is it's so remote. You know, it's in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It's all by itself. There's nothing else around. So it's like a 4.5 hour
Wow.
flight from Dubai. Uh, so coming from
Yeah.
LA, you know, it's 15 hours of Dubai, and then like 4.5 to get there. It's about a day and a half of travel when it's all said and done. By the time you leave, you know, Los Angeles, where I'm from, to get to the Maldives.
Yeah. And can you kind of share like your story because I know that I know your story, but for those they don't know that like, hey, you just kind of started off just daydreaming like what would life be like if I could travel to the most luxurious places in the world, and you started Instagram off that, and from there you just started posting luxury travel photos, and then now it's grown to be like your business, and you were in real estate before, and so kind of, do you want to share like kind of how you got into this whole thing?
Yeah, sure. Um, you know, I have a son who's 19 now. He's the one that got me onto Instagram. Back then, I didn't even know what it was, about 2012. And at that time, I just come out of, I was in real estate, like you said, in 2008. Went through the financial crisis, had a big company. And so, you know, I had to file bankruptcy. I lost everything. And for like 4 years, I was just taking like random jobs trying to figure out what I was going to do next. Nothing was very serious. And then I started Instagram and I started the page Luxury World Traveler because in the past I had done a lot of traveling to nice places, spent a lot of money traveling. And so, you know, it started to pick up steam and I put a lot of time and effort into curating the page back then. I was posting 6 to 8 times a day. I did that for like almost 4 years. And I would showcase a new destination every week and spend a lot of time online, Google Images, Bing Images, hotel websites, trying to find the best possible images of the different destinations I was going to showcase. And the pages got started to get really big, and it was about a year and a half into it. Again, this is back in like 2014 when I got my first request to stay at a hotel for free, and they were going to send a car for me and put me up in their penthouse and pay for all my meals. And I thought it was a joke at first, and then I called the owner and like, no, it's not a joke. We really want you to come up here if you could help us. And yeah, that's when the light
Wow.
bulb kind of went off that hey, this might actually be something. And then since that time, it was shortly after that that I quit my job and just like really pursued the Instagram thing. But at that point, it was so new that nobody kind of really understood what I meant when I said, "Hey, I'm not going to do real estate anymore. I'm going to pursue a career in Instagram."
Yeah. So people probably thought you were crazy. They're like, what do you mean this is?" And back then, that I think people thought that's just what kids use to share about their food or something, right? They never thought of it as a business. So you were like
Yeah.
one of the first people to see it as a business. And I think 2014, you said, like, how big was your Instagram following, and what was the feedback you got from everyone?
Is when I went over like 50,000 followers. So that was a really big thing back then because very few people had over 50,000 followers. I think like brands like Coca-Cola, Nike, and Adidas did, but there wasn't a lot of individuals, even celebrities. And so, I just was so consistent, posted all the time, and really just worked on curating like very high resolution images. Back then, there was no videos, there was no stories, there was no TV. It was just photos. So I would try to find the best possible photos I could of these destinations and post them. And once you have about 10,000 of those on your account, people that like travel started to follow me because of the we would do a different destination every week, and then people that like photography would follow me because we would just use like the best, but we'd find the best digital images that we could. And um, I just was very, very consistent. Like I literally didn't miss a day of posting in the first 3.5 years. Like that's Christmas, New Year's, Easter, holidays, my birthday. I would just like religiously post and post and post. And back then, the Instagram feature page was called the popular page, and there was only 9 squares on there. 9 images would be shown for 2.5 hours. So if you made the popular page, your image would stay up there for 2.5 hours. And I was making it quite
Wow.
frequently, and that's kind of how we really grew back in the day. and we were picking up 10 to 15,000 followers a day.
Wow, 10 to 15. That's a lot.
Yeah, it was
Now
a
it's starting to
lot.
grow even by like what was that?
Yeah, no, it was the golden age of Instagram, right? Before a lot of people were on there, when there was only 9 images on the popular page, and it was just photos. It was very simple. When I first started, my son used the application because he liked the filters, and that's really what it was when I started. It was like filters. They had really crazy filters that people would use. You don't see them too much anymore because a lot of them are like super vibrant. It would make the colors like super saturated. It wouldn't look real, but when I started, that's what it was. So, obviously the platform has evolved a lot since then.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on TikTok? Because that's like the new platform now, and people are like rushing onto TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, I personally have been on TikTok for a year. I like it. I think it's allows people to be creative. I like the different trends that are on there and just seeing how people do their own versions of it. I think it allows them to be a little bit more funny and silly than Instagram is. Instagram's still pretty serious, and TikTok people can really let their personalities come out. And I think that's why it's blowing up. I think that's why so many people are on there, is because it's just a way to be able to showcase your creative expression. And Instagram, is more on stories. You get to see the behind the scenes, but people's feeds on Instagram are still the perfect life, which I think a lot of people are starting to get over, to be honest.
Like they're starting to get over like how perfect life is. You mean like on Instagram?
Yeah,
Like
I mean, let's be real. No one's life is exactly what it looks like on their Instagram feed, right? The Instagram feed is
yeah,
like the best of of everything that's happening. Our page included, like we're not going to put up random media on there and no silly media. It's more of like, on brand for people that are interested in luxury travel. Whereas with TikTok, we put more, racy stuff that we wouldn't put on Luxury Traveler, behind the scene footage. And it's just, I think it's just a different, it's a different platform that, allows you to be a little bit more creative than Instagram feed. And so that's why I think
hmm.
it's really catching on. And obviously with the younger generations, they really found it to be pretty entertaining. So I think that's why it's growing so quickly.
Don't you? What do you think the difference is between TikTok and Vine? Because I kind of see them as pretty similar, but like, what do you think are the main? But Vine died out,
Um,
obviously. So
well, I mean, Vine only allowed you to post what 6 or 8 second videos, whereas TikTok you can post up
yeah,
to a minute. And then I think TikTok has done a lot better job of integrating music in there and sound bites. Whether it's from movie or from a popular song, or TV shows. I was just like I've seen so many people's renditions of different things, or just normal people that record somebody saying something funny, and then other people want to mimic it. I think it's a lot more diverse and a lot a stronger platform than Vine ever could be. But I think Vine was very limited by the fact that it was just such a short video stunt, and if someone had something to share that was over 6 seconds, it wasn't possible on Vine.
yeah, yeah. TikTok, I think the limit is like 10 seconds, or I forget how many seconds. I don't know what the
No, it's
limit
a
is
minute.
for TikTok. Oh, it's a minute.
Yeah, it's
It's a
like
minute
it's. I think
now.
it's a
Okay,
minute. Yeah, it's much
1 minute.
longer.
Okay,
So.
nice.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think um, so. Most of your online sales have been going up. Not so much the travel villa stuff, but um, what about travel villas? Have you talked to them? Do you know how they're doing? Because they can't. They're just brick and mortar, right? They're just like a physical location. Like, how they're probably all suffering, right, financially from this time because they don't have online ways of
Yeah, I mean,
monetizing.
yeah, a lot of the hotels and resorts that I work with are having a really tough time. Most of them are closed still, so they're really having a tough time. I know a lot of them are itching to get open, and some of the people I work with in the past, I don't think are even going to open up. That's what's scary, And I think you're going to see a consolidation. There'll be some airlines that consolidate. I think you'll have less hotel options, but I think when travel does open up, the villa market will be a place that really is attractive to a lot of people because you have the privacy of being in your own home. You don't have to be around crowds. And with coronavirus and COVID, and people very scared about catching it and being infected, being able to rent out a house and enjoy a tropical destination without ever having to leave your own private villa is going to be, it already is. We're seeing a lot of inquiries from our clients. But I think it's going to be a new big trend that was already pretty popular, but now I think you'll see groups of people that normally would just all get their own hotel rooms at a hotel, like come in together and rent a house because they know the people they're with. They want to go on vacation with them anyway, and then they don't have to worry about being around anyone else at a big hotel setting.
Yeah. So do you think travel will go back to what it was after the COVID, or do you think it'll be
I've been getting
a
asked
little
that a
different?
lot. No, I think for all intents and purposes, the golden age of travel, as we knew it, has pretty much come to an end. I think maybe 7 to 10 years from now, it may be back to what it was prior to this. I just think so many of the companies that were out there before, especially the smaller ones, are not going to be able to make it. So I think you're going to see a consolidation of a lot of different companies. I think the amount of uh, travel that's going to happen from people is going to slow down. I think a lot more people are going to do travel closer to home and not international travel, and that you know it'll eventually pick up, but not anytime soon. I would say 18 months before we see international travel really start to gain speed, and probably I don't know, 5 years before it's really it's really back at the levels that we saw before. If then, maybe longer. Some people are saying more than 10 years, which is really sad because travel was so easy before, and there were so many different airline options. There were so many different hotel options and accommodation options, and then to see a lot of them go away, and all these companies, they can't survive without having the cash flow constantly coming in, right? Always getting new clients in there. And so I think you're going to see a lot of empty, smaller hotels that won't recover, unfortunately. Um,
Hmm.
but
Yeah. So I mean, good for you. Like, since everything you do is pretty much online, it's digital. So I think that's, if you weren't digital, if all you did was just kind of help hotels, and you can't really sustain what you're doing right now too. But for a lot of villas, do you consult with them on like how to go digital? Do you consult with them how to go online, or is that something you help them with too?
yeah, so we have probably worked with over 100 private villas around the world in some way, shape, or form, whether that's creating media for them, whether that's marketing them on our page, whether that's sending clients their way. And it's an underserved market, and it's one in which we actually are getting ready to release our own villa website for our own preferred network of villas that we are going to showcase on social, and then also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube ads to drive clients their way, and then also and then at the very end book our own clients at their places. And so, yeah, I love staying in villas, just because the privacy, and I think it's kind of like the epitome of luxury travel, right? Like, unless you're at a hotel's penthouse, a private home, most of these are mansions. Um, just have all the different luxuries that you want from a hotel, oftentimes, but in the privacy of your own home. So it's one of my favorite places to stay in, and yeah, we do a lot of work with them, and looks like coming out of this, we'll probably do a lot more.
Yeah, because I think the biggest thing you help people with is like content creation, because a lot of them don't have, even if they're like a nice villa, they don't have good content, which is where you come in and help them with their content. And so obviously a lot more people should focus on digital content, which you're going to help with. And I think a lot of businesses are missing out because they're not putting themselves online, right?
Yeah, I
Online
I
with
think
great
one of the
content.
biggest problems that people in the luxury sector of hospitality don't understand is that they don't understand the value of investing in their own digital media. I mean, it's like, how many times have you ever just gone online looking to, for example, like, when's the last time anyone went online to try to go onto one luxury villa's website and spend any amount of time on there? It just doesn't happen, right? So oftentimes for hotels or villas, the way that consumers like us find them is, we see inspiration on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Vimeo, wherever. We're introduced to the brand or the location. Then we do secondary study online on, places like Kayak and Travelocity and TripAdvisor, stuff like that. But once you kind of determine where you want to go, and you go onto one of those websites where you can book, um, when you're researching these places, how do you research? You going through digital media libraries, whether you either watch a video or you look at their photos. And so for any company, whether it's a hotel resort or a villa company, if the photos and videos they have are bad, that's what's getting republished. That's what's getting republished on all these booking sites. That's what's getting republished on their social media. And the one thing I tell all the owners and a lot of the people that are executives in hospitality is like, whatever your digital media is, that's basically your calling card to the world, right? That's your business card. So if the media that you have is not as nice as the place where people can stay, then there's a disconnect and there's a problem. And let me ask you a question. Like if you went online and you wanted to say you wanted to go to the Bahamas, and you had narrowed it down to two houses, and they were both 4 bedrooms, they were both three had 3 baths, they both had a pool, they both had a jacuzzi, they were both on the beach, but one of the companies or one of the houses just had the most beautiful pictures of all time and like amazing videos, and then the second company had like low res photos that were pixelated and blurry and didn't have a video, and the villas were the exact, like, just as beautiful. Like, which one would you stay at? The one with the good media or the bad media?
Hmm. That's a good question.
Like
Obviously the
most
good
people
one,
would pick the one with the
or
good media because they want to,
I guess
like they can envision themselves. And so, a lot of times the marketing people don't think of that. They don't think that like an investment into
yeah,
their own media is going to ultimately create a consumer to choose their property or not to choose their property.
yeah, and I
Does
think
that make sense?
even if it was a villa that was maybe even half the price of the better one, if they did their digital media so well that they could probably more people go there than the one that's more expensive, even though it's nicer because they just didn't market it correctly. So it's pretty much just marketing correctly.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And we're very visual people these days. That's why social media is so
yeah,
popular. We're
yeah,
very, very
exactly.
visual. So we look at like hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures and videos every single day online, right? And we don't
It's
really give
true.
the ones that are bad any kind of our attention or time. So, and that's never
Dang.
going to change.
Do you think Do you think that's causing like a problem in like today's generation that social media is just it's so quick and so like we're almost like everyone's like ADD, it's like short attention spans. Um and I feel like it's harder now than ever to capture someone's attention. So what do you think, social media has been a good thing for us, or it's been more of like maybe not so good? There's good and bad
I mean,
always, but yeah.
I think there's pros and cons, definitely. The cons are I feel people's attention spans gotten a lot shorter. I feel that those people don't have types of personal relationships they used to have. Like they communicate through social media DMs versus like calling or texting, and it's pretty crazy. So in that regard, I think it's been bad just because it's we're not like really communicating the way that humans I think are meant to communicate. But I think it's also good in the fact that like social media is a way to target market the people that you want to get in front of if you're a business. So I think for like businesses and stuff, it's great. For companies like mine, it's great because it allows us to showcase different properties in different places on a really easy to use platform. But the younger generations are growing up on this, and I think they're missing out on a lot of like the communication skills that these my generation and older grew up with.
Like what kind of communication skills? Just like interpersonal relationships,
I
or just
mean, yeah,
how to?
last summer last summer I was in Europe, and I think I was in Ibiza. I'm at Ibiza. I'm at a dinner with like 14 people. We took a group of influencers out there. It's like 14 people at a table. It's at a hotel right on
Okay.
the ocean in Ibiza Bay at the Nobu Ibiza Bay Hotel. Um, we're eating at Nobu, having a really good sushi dinner, and when you look over, everyone's like this. Everyone's on their phone.
Yeah, they're just
Like there's no communication going on at the table. Instead of people really being present and
yeah,
giving the time and attention to those individuals that are in
full
front of
attention.
them, everyone's texting someone that's not there or trying to post something on their page to impress people that are not there, or just trying to show people where they're at, and they're more worried about impressing people that aren't sitting in front of them physically, than they are with communicating with people that are at the table. And like that is one of the things that's like my pet peeve. I hate that because I feel like
Yeah,
you should respect everyone
put
that's
away your
in your
phone.
presence, and give them your undivided attention. If not, like, then why even be there in the first
Why
place?
be there for sure. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you, Gil, for sharing. And people can find you at Luxury World Traveler. And yeah, just yeah, thank you for sharing. Your story and on social media. And for those of you guys listening, go check out Gil at Luxury World Traveler and connect with him there. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks,
Appreciate you
Gil.
having me on, Ray. Take care.